Welcome to Hybrid Committee at the District 91 and to Hybrid Pioneers series, where Toastmasters across the district share their experiences with hybrid settings for their clubs. Today, I have a great privilege to welcome Tim Patmore. He is the current president of Didcot Speakers, a community club in the heart of Southern England. He was also lucky enough to be a president of Oxford Speakers when it won Club of the Year award in 2020. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Marta.
The first questions will be asked by my distinguished colleague, Mo Dawodu. Over to you, Mo, and welcome to you.
Thank you very much, Marta, and welcome, Tim.
Thank you for having me.
We have some questions for you, and I will get started with it. The first question really is, how did you go about the process of embarking on hybrid meetings and why?
With hybrid meetings, we started them around about September 2021. And the reason we were doing those, we're moving away from online meetings to back to physical meetings. And we thought that it was best to integrate the two. So the process we went through is we ran that by our members and asked them if they wanted to do hybrid or which options they wanted to go for. We did a full survey of all our members. And then we decided to go hybrid and worked out the lineaments of it, who we needed to have in place to in the room to have that set up fine, and also who we needed online to manage the Zoom setup. It was basically managing those two things. And initially we did it for, I believe it was 3 months, and then we've continued it in the new year because it's continued to work. And that's the story of it, really.
Essentially, the lockdown was lifted and you consulted your members, and that is the option they opted for. You've trialed it for 3 months and you have decided to continue doing it. That's great.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, I know you've been in Toastmasters for over 10 years. Hybrid is something that is new to a lot of us. Was the first hybrid meeting easier or more difficult than you thought, and why?
It was probably about the same as what I expected. It was. I thought that I anticipated there'd be some difficulties, and the people who I'd seen do the hybrid meetings before had a lot of technical expertise. So I was worried that I lacked that technical expertise, but I was quite surprised that it does have some technical elements, but they're not insurmountable. It is possible to address the technical problems without much in the way of technical knowledge. So I was quite pleased that it was about roughly as difficult as we thought it would be. I'd say the difficulty is that fine tuning of the audio and of the video to make sure that it works as well for the online audience as it does for the offline one. But certainly starting it out, it was fairly much as anticipated.
Thank you very much, Tim. And the key word there for those who are watching this is that hybrid club meetings are not insurmountable. And in as much as this is something that Tim initially observed by watching some more technically inclined members, it's something that even those of us that are not technically as gifted as the experts, it's something that we can still do. Thank you very much for that. I think that's a very powerful message. I shall now pass you over to Marta for the next couple of questions. Over to you, Marta.
Thank you, Mo. Tim, what, in your view, are those critical essentials to guarantee a successful Toastmaster hybrid meeting? What are they?
Critical essentials are, I'd say, the 2 cameras, that you pretty much have to have 2 cameras. There's a list of equipment you can get. Florian Bay, the former district director, has a list of items that you'd need. But I found certainly having 2 laptops, 2 cameras, 2 stands, if you can get them all, or even just 1 stand, and a microphone and a projector. Those are really your bare essentials to get it up and running. And as long as you've got those, it should be fine. There is a theory that you can do it with 2 mobile phones. You just have 2 smartphones, and if you have the right cables and so on, you can do it with that. But there's kind of, you can make a pizza too cheaply. You want to make sure you have the 2 cameras, the 2 laptops, the microphone, the overhead projector, and and the stand, and that will and a room, obviously, and those will be your bare essentials, I'd say.
Yes, I would really. This really rings true to me. Although in our venue there is a projector, so we didn't have to have our own projector, but definitely those are the things that prove successful. And what would you say is a positive that hybrid meetings have provided that neither online or in-person meetings could have?
In a phrase, the 4th wall. When you're in the theatre or anything that involves performance, there's this concept of the 4th wall. I once knew a good rock band called the 4th Wall. It was a good name. But the idea is you have all these walls around you, and you have that wall between you and the people you're presenting to. And this comes very true when you have a hybrid meeting. And it's something that it doesn't feature really as much in, you have it a little bit in online meetings, and you have it to an extent with a live performance. But really, when you're doing a hybrid meeting, there's a substantial 4th wall, and it's merging those 2 audiences. And on a nuts and bolts level, that means if you're presenting to a hybrid meeting, if you're in the room or online, you have to present to both audiences. And that's a whole new skill, especially when you're in the room. You have to be aware of the camera and also aware of the audience. When you're online, you have to be aware of the camera and your audience online. And it's that art of overcoming the 4th wall, just putting those 2 worlds together. And in the modern world, hybrid meetings are quite common, actually. If you ever get the chance to be on TV with a live audience, then that would be a hybrid meeting. So it does happen, and it's different from online meetings. You're speaking to just people online, and physical meetings, you're just speaking to people in the room. It's doing both at the same time that's the tricky thing.
I like the fact that you mentioned that 4th wall. It is really easier to get this, and even for the clubs that have not tried this yet and are staying online, it would be something maybe they take on from this. I am now asking Mo to give you further questions. Over to you, Mo.
Thank you very much, Marta. And it's you got me again, Tim. And I like what it is you said in terms of the fact that you can learn new skills regarding, if you now require different skills, it means people have an opportunity to develop further. There's some skills you can learn face-to-face, some skills you can learn online, but from a hybrid point of view, there are particular skills you can develop. Again, that's a positive that needs to be, members should be made aware of. The next question really is, one I think you're going to enjoy, because from your responses, it seems you're having great fun with the hybrid meeting experience. What is your best hybrid meeting experience so far? What stands out? What would you like to share?
We did do a workshop, a table topics workshop back in September, which was rather good. We had David Jones, who was 5 times table topics champion, and we had him and Henry Bowles, and both our guest speakers were joining online, and we're doing another online workshop for an evaluation workshop this Monday, and again our guest speaker is online, and it really having that experience of being able to have someone who can present online and then being in the room with an audience of potentially lots of, I found when you go back on face-to-face meetings, you get more guests. So you get the opportunity with the hybrid setup to have the presenter online, and they can present to this audience in the room of people locally. So it's that wonderful synergy of those two elements. And yeah, with the table topics workshop, David Jones was fascinating, and we learned a lot. And we were also able, in the first half we had a presentation, and in the second half he did some coaching of people, and I was amazed how well it worked. I thought something would go wrong, but it was quite smooth, which was good.
Okay, you can get guest speakers from far and beyond to come and present, and you also have the benefit of having people in the room learning together, the synergy. I think that's something that I'm going to look forward to. Hopefully I can make it to your evaluation workshop as well.
Fingers crossed. Shameless plug, it is this Monday the 7th at 7:15.
Okay. Now, one question which you've already touched on is you mentioned earlier that Florian, our past district director, has a list of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
This question now is, how did your club select the equipment and decide on the hybrid setup? Is it primarily the list from Florian you used? Have you changed anything? What have you learned about equipment since obviously you were doing this with some techie people at the start, and now I'm sure you've had access to different resources, and I'm sure they're using different equipment. How did you decide on what was best for your club and your setup?
We were actually, we were helped a lot by Whitney speakers who've already had hybrid. I think they had hybrid since at least June 2021, and we took a number of ideas off them. They said it was about 500 quid's worth of equipment, and I've heard varying budgets, but that's probably about right. With Didcot, though, what I decided from the start, being non-technical, is I wanted it to be easy for other members of the committee to adopt. I didn't want any sense of incredulity. So with Florian's list, it's a good and effective list. It's a very solid list of essential parts you need. And what we did that saved us a bit of money is we worked out who had laptops and cameras and microphones and that sort of thing. And I think we got away with spending about £100 or so. But by working out what equipment you've got already, you can first of all work out what needs to turn up on the day, and secondly, when it means that anyone in the process is that you can have backup plans or redundancies. If you just have a list of equipment, the equipment either needs to be stored on site, which can be an issue, or carried in by other people. If you each bring in a bit of equipment and say we have about 3 laptops for when we only need 2, having that sort of redundancy within the setup, for one, it saves money, and for 2, it allows you more flexibility.
I actually think that's the best way for clubs that have members that have equipment. They're going to be coming to the meeting in person, rather than go out and buy something that you need for a few hours every week. If your members are happy to bring them along, then that's great. £100, that seems quite an interesting interesting deal and bargain. And well, Thank you very much. I will now pass on to Marta, who will ask you the next set of questions. Over to you, Marta.
Thank you, Mo. Tim, we have touched already on the skills that you acquire when you have to be aware of the both online and in-person audiences. But I would like you to say something more on what transferable skills our members can develop by running hybrid meetings. I'm really curious what you think are the most valuable transferable skills.
As an ordinary member, if you're speaking, there is that ability to speak to two audiences simultaneously, which is a useful bit of experience. In helping run the setup, it helps to understand how to set up hybrid meetings, which often take place at work. In fact, in my job, I used it in setting up hybrid meetings where you'd have 3 or 4 managers in the room and you'd have another 3 online. The college I work for is Abingdon Whitney College, and it has obviously 2 campuses, Abingdon and Whitney. So it's getting those 2 to work together. And what other skills, transferable skills? It's, I'd say, basically in the setup and in presenting, it gives you skills. And also the third thing is when things go wrong. And we have had a number of occasions where things have gone wrong and you learn a lot from it. I've heard from several speaking champions that the 2020 chap, I can't remember his name, but the international speaking champion, he said that he often prepares his speeches. So he makes sure that if something really bad happens, he puts that in the practice. And a lot of our members do things like cold showers and stuff like that, where which basically in dealing with times that these situations go wrong, you can then be better prepared for when it goes well. But it may seem paradoxical, but what you want in the practice and in Toastmasters is to have it be as near to reality as possible. And hence, when things go wrong, you learn a lot. I had a situation where the camera fell on the computer midway through a PowerPoint presentation, and that was just a nightmare because I hadn't memorized the slides. I just had to wing the rest of it. And luckily, the members let me do it again. But that sort of thing exemplifies what the sort of thing that could go wrong in reality. That a camera crashing your whole setup is a difficult thing to deal with.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And isn't it that if we have something bad happening, then we remember it very well for the next time?
Yes, definitely. And you learn ways around it as well. So
yes,
it's lessons either way.
Really excellent. However, when you set up those meetings, that sort of meetings, are there extra demands put on the club committee and in-person attendees?
Yes, you'd need probably about 3 or 4 people in committee who know what they're doing. You certainly need a Zoom master online who can manage that side of things and make sure that's integrated with the hybrid meeting. And we have generally 3 people in the room. You could probably get away with 2, possibly even 1, but certainly having people who have laptops and technical experience and experience running the meeting is crucial. And I guess it does put a bit of a strain on the committee, but it allows a better experience for members, really. So it's worthwhile, and that ultimately makes the club more diverse. You can incorporate those 2 worlds, and that means that there's more people who you can get on committee because you can have an online audience and an offline audience and more people at each meeting.
I would like Mo to ask you the final questions. Over to you, Mo.
Thank you very much, Marta. And It's interesting that you've actually have already talked about challenges more as opportunities, because this next question is one that we probably are going to now reframe. The next question really is, what do you see as the challenges going forward? And if you've already addressed that, maybe, I mean, from my point of view, I see challenges as opportunities. So you can either focus on what you see as the challenges going forward and or the opportunities that the challenges present.
The challenges are primarily educational. It's getting all of the committee to be invested in the process of putting together hybrid meetings, and frankly, all the members, so that anyone can help set it up. I mean, what you really want is everyone able to participate and help with setting up a meeting. The analogy that pops into my head, I've been reading a book about World War II, is World War II convoys. Initially, you'd have, say, an oil tanker, a grain ship, and a ship with meat in it or something. But what they worked out towards the end of the war is having bits in each. And similarly with members, so you'd have a bit of oil in each, bit of meat in each, bit of wheat. You'd have a blend of things in each ship, so that if one got through, it would get a little bit of everything got through. And similarly, with each of our members, they should all have a little bit of skill in setting up hybrid meetings. So it shouldn't just be one person who's an expert. It should be everyone knows a little bit of how to set up a hybrid meeting.
I love the World War II story, and I am certainly going to take some learning from that. And I like the concept of, it comes across to me more, the club is developing together rather than having a few experts. We're now having every member doing a little bit, and the club functions more as a community. So I think that's great. Okay. I don't know if I would call those challenges, because those are wonderful objectives and a way to run a club rather than not even just a hybrid. This is the final question, and I suppose it's always good to try and end on an aspirational or positive note. The question is, what is the best possible outlook you would predict or expect with Toastmasters hybrid meetings this year or into the not too distant future?
I guess it would be continuing to merge those two worlds together so that it's a more seamless experience. There's been with the band Gorillaz. I don't know if you Marta or Mo have heard of them. That they were in the before time. They were using holograms, cartoon holograms, to present their music. So. Because basically the idea is it's a cartoon band. There's not really any human members of Gorillaz. And I think that may be something we could push for, is the ability for someone on Zoom to be physically present in the room via hologram or whatnot. At the moment, that seems a bit too fantastical. It's a bit too magical. But ultimately, if you could get there, I think Facebook is developing that way. The idea that you could be at a concert where you're not physically present, you're somewhere else. So it's I guess getting rid of the geographical and other limitations that we have. I meant to mention one thing that online meetings and hybrid meetings really helps out with, and I always emphasize, because I don't think it's highlighted enough, is that people who are disabled or have physical limitations, having either hybrid or online meetings really helps them to overcome those difficulties. There was that Black Mirror episode, San Junipero, and that is the way Toastmasters should develop, is allowing any member from anywhere with any abilities to come to our meetings, whether physically or online. We should be able to do that going forward.
I think that is a best possible outlook. Having choice for the diverse members that we have and hope to join us soon. One of the key words that is going to be a takeaway for me is going to be insurmountable. And for those who are watching this, who may be thinking, hybrid meetings, what a challenge. Tim's word that I'm taking away is hybrid meetings are not insurmountable. There are learning opportunities for us. And who knows, virtual reality may be around the corner. You may be able to attend the meeting as a hologram. I'm not so sure, but I would look forward to a future where things run smoother. And I must say, thank you very much for joining us today, Tim. And thank you very much, Marta, for taking part and asking Tim those questions. Any final words from you, Tim, and then maybe Marta?
Sure. I mean, I'll just say, go for it. That if you're thinking of doing a hybrid meeting, do it, and don't. As you say, Mo, no problem is insurmountable, and I always worry that people get incredulity, i.e., they're not sure they can do it, or they don't think they have the knowledge. I would say just go for it. If you don't think you have the knowledge or technical expertise, you don't need knowledge or technical expertise. You just need to give it a go, see if it works, and tweak it. Again, you can just have 2 mobile phones. It's better to have the range of equipment, but don't let barriers or mental or thoughts or problems stop you from giving it a go.
Marta, any final words?
Oh, it is such a wonderful way of encouraging everyone who has not yet tried hybrid. When I'm listening to Tim, and I believe that everyone should listen to this interview to also see those possibilities, and also maybe to hear about the fourth wall and about the gorillas and other things.
Thank you very much, Marta. I suppose I am going to go and look a little bit more into the fourth wall. And who knows, I'm probably going to find out after this interview what World War II book Tim is reading. That is the Hybrid Pioneers recording for you. Thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you. Go on to the D91 YouTube channel. There are quite a few interviews that are interesting where you can learn a bit more about hybrid. And thank you very much.